Gentlemen, it's that time again. The news is coming in, and we have a few pieces of news to talk about today. One of which being Mike Flanagan on another notorious horror film franchise. We've also got Jeremy Renner returning to film, and we've got some more news coming out from Kathleen Kennedy because she just has to always be talking. So I would love to just go ahead and get on into it. Let's do it. First and foremost, if you are not familiar with Criticless, make sure to go to criticless.com. We are a website, an entertainment reviewing platform for talking about movies and entertainment, TV shows, just hanging out with friends. We are a social platform, so make sure to go to the website or to find us in app stores for Google or Apple. And once again, that is criticless.com or just Criticless in the app stores. And while you're at it, make sure to go check out our merch. We've got a lot of cool stuff from independent artists who have created art for us, stickers, t-shirts, hats. So make sure to pop in and check out what we've got and maybe show us some love there too. But anyways, right on into business. The first thing I want to talk about is director Mike Flanagan. If you are not familiar with Mike Flanagan, this guy has become kind of this horror darling lately because he just keeps putting out bangers that people really like. Now, I can kind of pull up his catalog here on Criticless, but lately, you know, he's become known for shows on Netflix specifically, which is he jumped off with Haunting of Hill House. And then, you know, he did Midnight Mass. And a lot of these shows are just critically acclaimed and loved by people as well. Haunting of Bly Manor. But he's done films as well, which was Gerald's Game. He also did Dr. Sleep. Both of these are Stephen King properties. And then most recently, he did Fall House of Usher. So if you're not familiar with him, I'm sure you've at least seen some of his stuff around in Netflix or elsewhere, but just know that he's become pretty loved for his horror stuff. Now, the news here is that Mike Flanagan has been confirmed to direct a new Exorcist movie, as the trilogy plans that they recently started up have gotten scrapped. So this is a totally new, sounds like some type of a reboot for this franchise because, you know, franchises, and we just gotta keep going, gotta keep mining that same material. So it says, what's more, it won't be the executive or Exorcist Deceiver, as Blumhouse's Exorcist trilogy plans have been scrapped. So that was the previously announced next film. That's not happening anymore. He's doing something totally different. So it says Flanagan will add to his roster of horror author adaptations by tackling a standalone movie based on the world of William Blatty's The Exorcist. Blumhouse promises a radical new take. So there, it's given that Blumhouse is who's going to be putting this out, notorious for doing horror stuff. A radical new take on the source material, and Flanagan will also write and produce the movie, and he has become known as a fairly solid writer as well. Now, there is a bit of news after we get through this that I want to talk about that makes me not happy about the fact that this is coming out. But so what it says here is Flanagan said in the press release, "The Exorcist is one of the reasons I became a filmmaker, and it is an honor to have the chance to try something fresh, bold, and terrifying within its universe." So basically, it sounds like because the last year's movie, The Exorcist Believer, did not do well, people did not like it, critics hated it, audiences hated it, nobody watched it in the box office. And so basically, they've just decided to scrap those whole plans. So Universal and Blumhouse bought the rights to The Exorcist from Morgan Creek for $400 million in 2021. So they're trying to get their bang for their buck basically from buying this franchise, and they've got to do something with it because it's going to be a giant loss if they don't. Also, Universal seems to be leaning more into their monster / horror universe again. So we'll see what they do with that, with the fact that they've got a new Universal Monsters Land coming at Universal Studios, and you know, they might be kind of doing something with Dark Universe again. I have no idea. Now, what I really wanted to get to here is my problems with the fact that Mike Flanagan is doing this. He's writing it, he's directing it, he's producing it, he's doing all the things, which he always does. This guy only has but so much time. It was announced this past year that he is directing the Dark Tower series. Now, if you don't know anything about the Dark Tower is Stephen King's, you know, magnum opus. It is his big novel series. There's 7 books. It is my favorite book series of all time. This entire sleeve of my arm is dedicated to the Dark Tower book series. I love it so much. One movie came out. Do not watch it. It does not exist. It's complete and total trash. They had Idris Elba play Roland, the main character. It was awful. It was really bad, and it should have never happened. And the director that they got was an absolute buffoon who had no idea what he was doing. Now, that brings us to the fact that Mike Flanagan has announced that he partnered with Stephen King, and this is happening, and it's the most exciting thing he's ever done, and he wants to make it so bad. And now we're having announcements of movies coming out. Well, to me, this TV series is what is the priority. So what's going to get sidelined? What's going to get pushed out of the way to make sure that this Exorcist movie happens? Because I do not want to see the Dark Tower slow down. I want to see them keep rolling. I want to hear cast. Like, we don't have any of that yet for the Dark Tower series, and it seemed to be what he was most excited about. And now he's got this Exorcist movie coming. So, if we are scrapping or pushing aside the Dark Tower for the Exorcist, they can freaking screw off, because I do not care if we get another Exorcist movie anytime soon. We just got one. Let it lie for a little bit. So I'm hoping that this is actually what plays second fiddle. This is just going to be news that's just going to be out and about in the wild, and he's going to work on Dark Tower and then move on to this Exorcist movie. Because, I mean, there shouldn't be a rush outside of, Universal's money being on the line, I guess. But I'm far more excited about his Dark Tower TV series, because he seems like someone who would treat it with respect. And the previous movie that was made, they tried to shove 7 books into one movie where it should have been handled like like Lord of the Rings. I mean, it is an epic story, a Western, sci-fi, time traveling, it's all of the genres. It's amazing. It ties in all kinds of Stephen King's work, and it just needs somebody who's a master craftsman, and Mike Flanagan is that guy. So just please, Mike, don't put aside Dark Tower for this freaking Exorcist movie. I beg you. But I mean, this guy, he's done great stuff. So I mean, you can go look at his catalog. If you have not seen any of the things that he's done, then I would suggest watching some of his stuff. If you are not a horror fan at all, or then I would say, even still starting with like Haunting of Hill House, it is just so good, and it's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. So he does really good work, and I hope he keeps at it. And I know that he does have some haters, but by and large, most people like him. So on to the next piece of news. And I wasn't going to talk about this. There's been multiple bits of news that have been coming out about the new Knives Out sequel. This is going to be Knives Out 3. There's been news coming out over the past week or so, and I've just decided not to cover most of it, because it's just kind of been like, this is little bits of news. But I find that this has been the first important piece of news about it. And to be completely transparent and honest, I think that this entire Knives Out series is wildly mid. Like, it at best, it's just not that good. I think that Rian Johnson, he went from, when he did Brick, being one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, to being someone who I really don't care about seeing anything that he makes. Now, granted, he has gotten hyper politically sensitive over the years. He's started shoving politics in everything he touches. He's the man known for destroying Star Wars. Like, I mean, he is getting a very bad reputation. He pivoted really quick to the Knives Out series, and people seem to kind of like it, but they're these detective mystery movies that I just don't find that interesting. Now, they did announce that it does have a name, the sequel, this third movie, which is going to be called Wake Up Dead Man. I'm sure it's going to be on Netflix, because the other two, well, I guess the last one was, and then the first one kind of pivoted straight to Netflix as well. So basically, Wake Up Dead Man is most of what we know. It's just that they're saying that it's his, Benoit Blanc's, the main character's most dangerous case yet, which is, of course, like, what else are you going to say? Like, it's got to be the most dangerous case yet, because it's like the third entry, and it's, got to be a big deal so that people show up. So I don't know. I mean, the cast has started coming out, though. And the biggest news here, and the new news, is that Jeremy Renner is going to be in the movie. And he is actually, this is the first time he's back. And that actually makes me interested and might give me a reason to watch this movie, just to see how and what he does, because he hasn't done a film since. Now, he might have been filming his TV show that he's been working on for a while, and he might have been doing some of that. I don't know, but this is his first return to film. So what it says is, Jeremy Renner welcome to the Knives Out cinematic universe, which is, why does everything, this isn't a cinematic universe. It's just a connected series of not that great movies. But so what it says is, the other potential suspects for Knives Out 3 include everybody that's on this cast list down here that we have on Criticless right now, which is Andrew Scott. He was known, actually, I think his most memorable performance was when he was on Sherlock, but he recently has a Netflix series that came out. And so, but on top of that, we've got Kerry Washington, Glenn Close, Kaylee Spaney, and Josh O'Connor. So, and then obviously Daniel Craig, who's been the only one that's been in all of these movies. But we will see how this turns out. I don't know how much more information they really have outside of the fact that Jeremy Renner has been cast in this. And it says that it should be noted that Renner isn't entirely new to the Knives Out franchise. The actor's likeness in form of a fictional branded hot sauce plays an integral role in the plot of The Glass Onion. So that to me is pretty interesting, and it sounds like that might actually be the character that he's going to be playing, is whoever this hot sauce person was. That would actually be kind of interesting, but I don't know. I'm not super excited. I'm sorry if you like the Knives Out series. Awesome. I wish that Ryan Johnson's work was better of late, but I just don't find that it is. I find it either predictable or slow in plotting. And I really, honestly, even in the series, find Daniel Craig's accent to be awful and kind of grating as well. So the first movie, was okay, and then the second one to me in the beginning was awful and I couldn't stand it, and then it kind of got a little bit better, but still just wasn't super pleased. So whatever, there's my commentary for this series, but I'm excited to see that Jeremy Renner is getting back into film and back into theaters. So, well, I guess maybe depending on what Netflix does with this, if that's where it gets released. So that's the main bit of news about this. Now on to the next thing, because we all know that you guys love to hear about Kathleen Kennedy. And what it says is Lucasfilm boss says women in Star Wars struggle with toxicity due to male-dominated fan base. Now, let me just say with this article title, I find it very funny that what it says is the Lucasfilm boss, not Kathleen Kennedy, because that name is like toxic waste. If people see that name, they're just going to dogpile on it. So they just hope that it's not quite as obvious by saying Lucasfilm boss. And I just find that really, really funny. So what it says, and then there's a little quote down here: storytelling does need to be representative of all people, which I find an interesting statement too. We'll get into. But basically what it says is Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has said women in Star Wars, such as the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland, struggled due to a male-dominated fan base. Now, I would go ahead and I want to underline that statement there. A male-dominated fan base. Now, what you have done here with Star Wars is you have taken a male-dominated fan base, which has always been a male-dominated fan base, and attempted to try and, in the simplest of terms, turn a boy brand into a girl brand. That's like deciding that you are just going to take Barbie and you're going to make it for boys. And then you're going to shove Barbie down boys' throats and be like, you're going to like Barbie. You're going to play with dolls. But like at the end of the day, the boys are like, I'd rather stick with like He-Man or like Godzilla or monsters or something, or just, violence. I don't know, not Barbies and like combing hair and, putting on high heels. So what's happened here is that you have entered a dominated male space and tried to make it something for women, and then you're complaining about how it's not working out well for you. This is just an ignorant statement. Now, here, speaking to the New York Times, Kennedy spoke of the importance of representation in Star Wars, because representation is what matters most above anything else, especially storytelling. That's not in the article. That's just me, quoting what they're thinking here. The Acolyte will be the first Star Wars TV show created by a woman in its 47-year history, while Sharmeen Oboy-Chinoy will be the first woman to direct a film with her Daisy Ridley starring sequel, which I have theories as to if this movie will ever actually happen, the Daisy Ridley movie, because she's already had 3 Star Wars movies with diminishing returns and a character that people just don't really like because she's the ultimate girl boss. So really, that is a whole other conversation. And really what we get into here with, well, I'll read the next paragraph first and we'll go. But my belief is that storytelling does not need to be representative of all people. Or wait, interesting. Does not. Storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me, Kennedy said, before admitting it's terrifying to work in a franchise like Star Wars today. Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and the level of expectation is terrifying. I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because of the fan base being so male dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Now, here's the deal. What's personal here for a lot of these things is the fact that the general public, or well, I will say general public, the fans know that these people got their jobs not because they were good at what they do or because they were highly experienced and ready for this job and it was something that they deserved. They got these jobs because of some level of identity politics. And the problem here is that when you put identity politics in front of actual quality work and being concerned about the product that comes out at the end of the day, chances are it's not going to be good because you prioritize the wrong things. And when we talk about someone like Sharmina Abid Chenoy, we are talking about a woman who has directed nothing except for Miss Marvel that would be remotely close to what Star Wars is. And you're giving her a Star Wars film, a big budget franchise film, to someone who has worked on nothing but activist documentaries. So this person, it's not that she's a woman, it's that she is hyper focused on politics, and you are putting her in charge of something that she does not have the skill set or the wherewithal to handle. And then we've got the situation with Leslie Heslin, which is the fact that she has come out and said multiple times that she basically just wanted to create and push certain levels of agenda, but she, was working within Disney. And so, it just had to be attached to a franchise. So why not Star Wars? So the thing is that there are these people that have ulterior motives that aren't actually interested in making sure that the fans are happy, that people are happy with what they're watching. They have totally different concerns here. And everybody knows the problem with Kathleen Kennedy and how she's running this company. And really, if you want to take pointers on how to just drive something into the ground and make sure that no one is interested in it ever again, just do what Kathleen Kennedy's doing with any of your businesses that you own. Just implement all the things that she's doing and you can watch yourself fail, because this is what failure looks like. So, I mean, I hate that people are getting bullied, and I don't think it's okay to attack folks and come after them with pitchforks and whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, Kathleen Kennedy is the person to blame. It's not even these people being hired for the jobs. She is the reason that these people are being put in the situations that they're in, and she needs to take responsibility for it. She's talking about, these folks having such a problem working in these spaces that are primarily, liked by men. Well, what did you think was going to happen? And it's not like, you had 3 movies to see if your female audience was going to show up in droves for this series to keep it afloat, and it hasn't. So maybe you just kind of give fans what they want and you make good quality things and you hire the right people for the job. And then you don't have to put out puff pieces like this to try and protect your franchise. You could just actually have a franchise that people still like, instead of people like just being absolutely done with everything that Disney touches at this point. So I did find this a little bit interesting, and there's kind of my rant for it, but it's just, I'm surprised that Kathleen or any of these people are even doing press anymore. It seems completely ignorant, because they might as well just continue to put their foot in their mouth. So guys, that's the news. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if that last little bit was heavy or whatever. It's not my typical bit, but I saw it here, and I'm not into the griftery news, but I'm just kind of sick of seeing this stuff, and I'm tired of watching things that I love fail. And I love Star Wars. I've loved it for a long time, and I really don't care about it that much anymore. I don't really care about the new show coming out. Like, the things that they are doing are just not very good. And so, we'll see what happens with this new show, The Acolyte. And hey, if it's good, I'll say it's good. But I'm just really worried that it's not going to be, because I don't think that Leslie Headland's actual motives are in the right place in what she actually wanted to create, or that she even really cares about the world that she's working in. And the thing about the whole representation thing, I find really just honestly hilarious, because it's really funny how these creators can say that, and then you can watch something that they produce or put out, and for example, like an entire project is just missing all white men for some reason. Like, why are they not there? Maybe because you're sexist or racist or whatever the case may be. It's just I find it a little odd when there's so much talk about representation, and then when you see representation products, it's not really that. It's actually quite the opposite. It's just that they take a lot of these certain minority groups, shove them all into one thing, and then are like, representation, not quality. And so, I don't know, you hire the right people for the job, and you will definitely get representation. I've been watching a lot of older things lately from the 90s, and they were completely representative of all types of groups of people, and nobody thought anything about it. And what was put first was the actual product. And I think if we get back to that time, then things are going to be better. But anyways, off the soapbox, I'm done. I promise. That's it. And anyways, guys, it's been real. Make sure to go to criticless.com or search us on the app stores, Android, Apple, and go ahead and download it, create an account, come say what's up, leave a few reviews, make a list or two, and just enjoy yourself. But guys, it's been real, been fun, and I will see you on our review that is coming out tomorrow. We are actually going to be reviewing an older film. So we are going to be talking about Days of Thunder, which is a Tom Cruise film from 1990, if I am not mistaken. And I am quite excited to talk about it. And actually, it has some connections to Criticless in general in a weird kind of way. So look out for that. Review will be dropping tomorrow from the, on this channel, but it'll be a Criticless Cast Unhinged review. And we will see you again outside of that for the news on Monday. Later, guys.